that there. All right, we have returned after quite a bit of a hiatus, as it turns out. We kind of left off barricaded in a room where we were just enjoying the spoils of the storage room that we had rampaged. Not really encountering much in here, seeing that we encountered them all in the hallway, it seems like, earlier. They all seem to have came out of here, out of the particular storage room. We went through, we found what looks to be like some kind of meeting or planning room, lined with lots of bookcases. We found this entire area to be very prepper-esque, with lots of long-term food and water stores and lots of how-to books on how to rebuild civilization, how-tos on all levels of artisanship, from masonry to woodcraft to the whole range. They were, as best we could tell, expecting to outlive the end of days and rebuild from nothing. When we left off, we had just finished our rest, and we had tried to scope out what's on the other side of this door. It was barricaded from our side, but we did get kind of an eerie feeling from the other side of that door. But nothing bothered us throughout the night as we slept. And that's kind of where we pick up. It's here in the middle of this temple to Asmodeus. Who knows what other demons and like. We found, again, look, we got our Lodran came back, reincarnated through some biomass.
It's called mulching.
Mulching, yeah. We were fighting some
all
of those...
the eggshells.
Warlocks, some halflings, some ghostwise halflings that look native to Lumos tribe. We're doing warlocky-like things with a wizard out in the hallways as we were sleeping. And then Lodran kind of came out and helped save the day as he kind of came out, starting almost like an amorphous blob forming into Lodran's form in that hallway, creeping through that little crack in the wall.
Kind of thought we were going to be fighting on two fronts for a couple rounds there.
And then here we are. So, I'm ready to take it off when you guys are.
Just checking. Did we ever do the loot table for this room, or were we going to do it at the beginning of this session? I thought we paused that until next session.
I think that was Bob's game you might be thinking of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we, there was a ton of crap.
Yeah, because there was a lot of stuff in here. We basically looted as much money as we could carry and any of the interesting weapons or items. And I think Lodran took most of the food, and we gave some to Darren and Parth, and then anything else that we could destroy, we said that we were going to destroy it, so that they can't use it.
Yep, I was just checking.
Yeah, there was all kinds of mundane weapons and of nearly every type. Same for, there's a handful of various armor, splint mail, chain mail, and a bunch of those. So we found some of those prepper books, but also a lot of the tools and supplies that go with them, such as, alchemist kits and alchemist supplies and different jugs of stuff and herbs and...
Oh yeah, I got a mayonnaise jug.
Were we... And then we were trying to go through the door Izzy's at right now, or...
That was the
One we couldn't
plan,
open.
because that's the next one that's open.
Okay.
Or at least can be opened. I'll have to... Did I unlock it already, or will I have to unlock it? I don't remember.
It was
just barred, right?
It was barred. Yes.
Okay.
From our side.
So there's some locking someone in, possibly.
So there was, we noticed on the other door that there was actually the ability to bar both sides. You could, and we were able to look through a tiny, like, little piece in the mechanism to see what was kind of in this room, but there were no such mechanisms, like, in the door or cracks. This one was a very smooth line, and we could not see through this door like we could the other one. So as far as a lock, there wasn't other than the bar, there wasn't a padlock or anything like that keeping the bar on or any of those kinds of things. I think we actually even stole the bar from the other door, on the outside of the other door, to put it on the inside of this one.
Yes.
I'm just listening at the door.
So, the first thing I'm also going to do is take some oil and oil up the hinges or any moving parts on this door that I can reach for now. To make sure it doesn't squeak.
Okay. And you're, like, gonna put your, like, ear up against the door and try to listen through, Car, see if you can hear anything from the other side?
Yeah. I just flush the toilet.
You hear this emanation of something very, very, very faint. Sounds like it's like washing over something, but it does sound magical in nature.
Detect good and evil. Sense.
Okay, and then what are the barriers?
1 foot of stone.
1 foot of stone.
3 feet. 3 feet of wood or dirt. Is this just a wooden door? Let me ask that first.
This was a steel, solid steel door.
Oh well, then no, I don't try that then.
Iron or something.
I can only go through an inch of common metal, so I won't try it then.
I'm also going to tell our little cultist buddies to stay here, keep each other safe, and if they notice anything untoward, to let us know.
Mm-hmm. And we still got the side that Lumo's at. It's still barricaded from this side, so try to prevent anybody coming in from the other direction.
Yep.
I cast a guidance on Izzy. It's a D4 for an ability check.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to very gently and carefully and slowly, so as to make as little noise as possible, I'm going to try and open the door.
Okay, so you take the bar off, you've oiled the hinges, and you just try to, like, there's not even much of a, like, latching, there's not even hardly much of a latching mechanism, so as you pull the bar off, it looks like a big heavy door, but when you go to push on it, it just kind of swings, like, super easily. I mean, just like feather touching it as it does. And just even the first instant that the door begins to open, Car, you said you had your detect good and evil on?
Well, yeah, once the door opens, I would have.
Okay. So you're getting a weird, something very strange to your senses of detect good and evil, because normally either a place is desecrated or a place is consecrated or something is evil or something is good, and it emanates an aura, and it's very static kind of thing, right? someone's aura may change over a long period of time, or places aura may change over a long period of time, especially as deeds or events take place that could slowly shift alignment one way or the other, right? But what you're getting is more like the feeling of almost like Morse code of on off, on off, on off, on off, of good, evil, good, evil, good, evil, good, evil, just blinking back and forth, pulsing.
Have I ever sensed anything like that before?
Never.
If I open it enough just so that I can peek through, what can I see?
Okay, 1 second. Okay, 1 second. You don't actually see. So as you kind of peek through the edge, these are supposed to be invisible. Why did they go away? Okay, so when you peek through the corner here, you see one robed figure standing before, or like sitting on this rug, kind of set in almost like a prayer position, like knees on the knees, kind of leaning forward, head kind of bowed, arms folded in front of him. In front of what you see is some kind of rod, some like just the edge of some kind of golden rod that is floating on top of an altar, and you can see directly below that altar is like a pile of looks like platinum coins, and this rod is floating directly above it, and it is glowing and pulsing emanations of not just light. It's not like pulsing light, like brightness, but you can just feel force and air and pressure as these waves are surging from this item that's floating on the altar. You also see a large demon statue that's just on one side of the altar, from what you can see, right as you barely creak the door open.
Hey, Izzy, what do you see? What's in there?
I'm going to just reach over with one hand on the wall and just put up a finger. Does it look like they're wearing the same kind of cultist robes, or different type of robes?
These are more vibrant and ornate. They don't look like the cultist robes at all.
Okay, so I'm going to hold up one finger and then finger wagger. And again, very slowly. I'm trying to do it slowly so as not to like draw attention with motion. Just open it a little bit more so I can see a little farther into the room.
So this is very important, are you trying to stay in the room you're in, or are you trying to peek into the room? Like, are you trying to, like put your head in around the corner or anything like that? As to what like how your physical positioning as it relates to the door and like passing into the room.
Because the door, if the door was barred, it opens in towards us, right?
Well, it's actually, they're double barred, so it's a double. It actually, this one opens into this room, but it is barred from both It can be barred from both sides.
Okay, so it can swing either way then.
There is a stop on this side, so it won't swing into your room. So it is like it comes in, but it can be barred on either side. And so there are hooks on not just the door, but also on the stone wall around the door. So when the bar goes through it, it's not just barring it from moving into the wall, but the actual hook, the brackets that it fits on the wall, also prevent it from going either direction.
Right. Okay, makes sense. Okay, so how I'm doing this may depend on an answer from you.
Okay.
In my thieves' tools, would I have something like a mirror, like a dentist mirror or something that would let me see around a corner? Would that be a thing? Because I think that's what it says. Like, it says a small mirror mounted on a metal handle.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So-
effectively that. Yes. So it's maybe slightly larger than a dentist's mirror, but along the same lines, right? So that you could not only put it around a corner, but also like maybe under something, or or whatever, so you could see underneath the trims around a box or around a drawer or whatever, to be able to see if there's things outside of your line of perception for traps and the like.
Right. Okay. So I think I'm probably using that to kind of see as much as I can see around the room without opening the door too far.
So with the door just a crack, and then car, it's still going. I mean, it is. If there was any way to sync up, if she's feeling these pulses of pressure just barely through the crack of the door, that, like, as those pulses are going off very rapidly, so too are you still seeing the good evil. And it's not even just all the way on good, all the way on evil. It's like good and then off, and then evil, and then off, and good, and then it's like you're getting pulses of the extreme alignments, and then either periods of none or something that doesn't show up on good or evil.
Well, I have a question, but I should wait till I'm actually in there because I don't see all this yet.
So as you start to survey around the rest of the room, and you can get, by and large, the majority of the room kind of covered with, even with a crack.
Me or Izzy?
She's doing with the mirror.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so, yeah, you can see that there is a mirrored statue on the other side of the altar, large braziers hidden in each corner. And then now you can, you got a pretty solid look at the entirety of this very long, it's somewhere between, it's actually closer to like full like quarterstaff length rod that is floating horizontally directly up above this. Looks to be like a little pile of platinum colored coins on top of this altar.
Okay. And do the robes indicate to me at all that this might be the same wizard that we faced in the hallway?
These do look different. The symbology on the robes themselves are different. One thing you do notice is very particularly on the back, like what would be like the cloak portion of these big robes, is one giant golden eye. on, like embroidered in on these purple robes.
Does that symbol mean anything to me? Probably not, but I might just whisper to Carr and just does a symbol of a golden eye mean anything to you?
Yeah, that's definitely a good role for religion. I mean, other than some obvious implications about what an eye and seeing, there are several religions that use that symbology, for the all-knowing or the all-seeing. Some of them are ways to represent certain gods in different cosmos and the like. But beyond that, there are things like Grunch, which is one of the Orcish gods with one eye. But that, doesn't never golden. That doesn't make sense there. If you kind of rifle through some thoughts about where eyes are used, it might be more arcane in nature than religious, unless it's referring to some kind of all-seeing or all-knowing kind of god.
Does it look like any of the eyes on Lumos' robe?
No, the eyes, I mean, those very creepy look like real eyes. Like actual eyes on the robe.
Gross.
Whereas this is as just straight up embroidered eye symbol, like a hieroglyph more than looking like a real eye.
Quit being so judgy about my fashion.
You sit for a moment as you're trying to inspect all around the room, and this person is head bowed towards the altar, arms crossed, and you can hear that. Not only see and feel the pressure of that, but you can hear there's audible pulsing of that magical aura that you could hear. And as you kind of just start getting a visual of the scope of the full room, the bowed figure speaks. You can stay there if you wish, or you can join and participate. The wonders that are open to you, not only I can see, but so can many others.
Well, I guess we're going in hot.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'll just stand up, put my mirror away, and then enter into the room with one hand on my my cutlass.
I follow.
As you walk into the room, you get overwhelmed by brief pulses of different emotions. You like as soon as you step in, it's just like being you've gone through some almost like a portal into some other place in a sense. Is you get like just very strong mood power swings. You feel just briefly in the first few seconds of walking in, you feel rage, you feel compassion, you feel love, you feel hate, you feel sad, and it's just kind of going around, bouncing through this as each one of these pulses goes off in rapid succession. It's just pop, pop, pop. You're getting overwhelmed by this immediate and intense effect of these emotions. As you start coming into the room a little further, your vision kind of blurs for just a little, as you're not only seeing and like getting these feelings, but then you start seeing like flashes of like imagery of this room, but this room is different in these it's almost like the shutter of a camera going off this fast of one of those real high-speed professional photography cameras that are, like they go off like crazy fast. As you're getting these different images of death and undeath and decay, and then lush jungle, and then like all different environments, all in the same room. As you then use like this rolling soft wind on rolling hills and grassland, and then dense swampland that's just with the heavily vines and things that are hanging out of all the trees and moss growing on them that looks kind of dreary and kind of creepy, and then jungle, and then you get the sense of like these very vast jagged mountains and all of these flashing, all with different emotions for each one of the flashes as they come in, as you just take a handful of steps, and then that overwhelming sense kind of fades as y'all walk into the room.
So the good and evil, does it seem to be pinpointed on the altar or the staff?
Neither. It actually is more to do with, especially as you step right in, it has to do with this imagery. So you see this dense, boggy swampland. You're getting evil. You see the plains for that brief second. Then you're getting good, and then you see the jungle, and then you get some neutral. Then you get nothing, and then you see like as these different images across like all the full scope of everything from snowy peaks to warm beaches, which gives off good, and like all of these different things. It seems to pulse with the environment flashing change as you come in.
As I step in, I kind of got one hand up at my eyes, like you're trying to look at a light that's too bright, just from the flashes of the different images. And I just say, what is this?
It is overwhelming at first, but it will fade. You're seeing all the realms that could exist or have existed, that all overlap with ours. There's balance to be brought to this universe. I have seen it. I feel it. His power resides in this. And in the end, it will let forth, and it will bring back that balance.
Whose power?
You might expect me to say a devil's or a sun god's. You might expect me to say a wizard's. All of these fail in comparison. There's only one true master of balance that will see things right again.
And what is that?
Ask your little friend. He knows the true purveyor of balance.
I kind of look behind me and like Lumo's not there, and I'm like, what? He. What do you mean? He's.
As soon as Lodrin steps in, he's gonna get hit with the first spot of rage. He's gonna just kind of gray out. This is not natural.
I just look back behind me and call for Lumo.
I'm gonna like sprint in.
Ah. So his time has arrived. He knows, don't you, little one?
What is he talking about?
I need a little bit more context. Know some things.
I've seen your heart. I know that you hold dear certain elements of balance in your life.
Does Carr know about is it AO?
Yes. Yeah,
What
that
happened?
is definitely, especially with, your theologian background, know that no one actually, or very, very few people actually worship Ao as a god, because he is the god of that holds the balance of all the other gods. It's the supreme deity.
I'm just gonna shake my head and say, where are the other halflings? What happened to them? The clan halflings.
The clan halflings. You mean his clan? Well, there are a few that deal with us. Several of them have come and gone. A couple have met their demise, as I have only recently witnessed. But there are others oblivious. A great many. They track the desert out west. They flee from a force they do not understand. They flee to what they think is assistance. There are those that are searching for them that are actually there to help, that they think are enemy. And there are those that they think will help that are actually foe. See if their perceptions ring true.
And what are you doing? Helping create these abominations? I'm slowly edging forward. Is he like looking at us, or is he still looking at the staff?
He's still bowed, bent over. It's either an effeminate male or a slightly manly female. It's hard to tell from the voice alone, and then the robes cover everything, so there's no physical portrayal really that makes it easy to see.
I assume they can see us anyway.
What did you ask though right before?
If they're helping make these abominations, or what is it they're trying to accomplish here, basically?
Not all of us seek for the same goal.
You all work together?
Sometimes necessary evil.
What is your goal then?
Well, to be quite clear, it is quite important that we don't let Palor do what he is so inevitably about to do. That, and I would like to leave this damned desert. And if that means bringing down the ball, if that means killing every wizard that put it up, then so be it.
Can I insight check him?
Yes.
I know I'm looking at their back right now, but seems legit.
I mean, you have no reason to doubt. I mean, you've got no facial expressions to go on. You've got, like, it rigidly so unmoving as the person bowed in front.
How does the wall coming down bring balance? Or the barrier, rather.
Well, there are two inns. One sees me out of this damned desert. And two, well, the evil has been building for a great long time here. Power, perhaps underestimated by even Pelor himself, is allowed to fester and grow for a millennia.
So Pelor failed.
I think he succeeded, at least in what he intended to do. The consequences of that, however, could be construed as a failure.
You can't cross the barrier, can you?
I cannot. Very strong spell, that.
It is meant to keep those who would do harm to the rest of the realm out.
That is its intention, yes. It seems as though, quite literally, the road to hell is paved with those intentions, as my brethren have tried to bring to light. It is also keyed for specific people, even those that may have been not privy to the doings of others, but lumped in nonetheless.
You're saying you were innocent in all this?
Well, innocent might be a stretch. I don't even think that you are innocent, no matter what you think.
Oh, I make no claims on being innocent.
At least you're honest.
In some ways. Izzy's gonna kind of glance back like, what do we do here?
To be honest, I'm quite surprised at your restraint thus far, given your dealings with some of the others. I expected the attack to have started already.
Most of the others were out to kill us as well, so I suppose that goes both ways.
I have no
What is that
illusions of
staff?
grandeur. I know that should it come to combat, I will not win. I'm no fool. Not controlled by the emotions, although I do feel them. The staff, you say?
That
Well,
pulsing.
it is an artifact of his might.
Whose?
His.
Ale?
You see, at the mention of Ao, the robed figure stands, and turns, and you can see that it is more of a masculine female than the other way around. You see a coy smile and a little bit of a wink. You know. That's good. It is of his power. Some say it belongs to him himself. Although he would take no physical form in this realm, for it is far beneath him. This comes from somewhere else. In this room, this particular place, I've found interesting properties. The overlapping of many realms here in this particular cavern.
Would everybody know who Ao is, or would that be more of like for a religiously trained person?
Typically, that's religiously trained.
Okay.
Because he doesn't interact with people at all. It is straight from it would be almost a theoretical sense of his existence, even.
Okay, so like Izzy's just kind of confusedly looking between car and then back to the figure and then back to car. Like she doesn't know what they're talking about. So then how are you proposing to bring about this balance?
It won't be me that brings the balance. The scales of destiny tip in many directions. Those scales tip too far this time. Once the scales tip too far, intervention is necessary.
You think it will be Ao this time, and not Pelor?
Oh, I'm certain Pelor will do his part. But I think that in the end we'll find that we think Pelor tips in one direction, but in reality he does not. I think he will be the stone that breaks the scale.
And then what?
And then all will be remade. As balance is a universal and cosmic necessity.
Yeah, see, I don't particularly want to be remade.
How would you know? You might like the new you even better. You're just afraid of the unknown.
What did Login say?
I think he said it's not all that bad.
Oh.
Oh. Okay, out of character. So my impression of this is that he wants to tip the balance so that everybody is obliterated and then Ao has to intervene. That's kind of what I'm getting. Is that what you guys are getting?
That wasn't what I was getting.
No?
Oh, out of character.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of it out of character.
I just wanted to make sure I was understanding this correctly. Because that's what it sounded like to me.
I guess, the character brings the walls down, evil spews into everywhere. Pelor's like, fuckers? I said no. And does his thing, which will set off the balance even more. Then AO comes in. So, yeah, I guess.
In my lifetime, I've known many to speak in the names of unknown and unseen gods and forces. But you should always realize that balance is a power to itself, and your sorcererly actions with this staff are
So they've turned around and are looking at us now.
Yeah,
Is
kind of
this-
like from the side. Like they're kind of looking to the left. Like they're facing kind of to the left and then kind of to the shoulder. Yeah, looking to the shoulder, across the shoulder at everyone.
I'm just gonna say I will do anything within my power to ensure that scale is not tipped. It would cost thousands, millions their lives.
Kind of see him. Kind of tilt her out a little bit. I see that y'all have done quite well. One might even call it prophetic. There is another path. A path that remains... At least one that remains with the world intact.
What are you proposing?
Well, I don't know so much if it's a proposition, but I have seen a path. One that, if you walk narrowly, and at least reach the destination's end, this could all be avoided. But it is a knife's edge you walk. A tightrope high in the sky, and the winds are gusting.
Nothing I haven't done before. Now that I can see their face, any chance I could roll another insight?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's better. Okay.
You do get the sense that this person is actually speaking from the heart in everything that they say they believe wholeheartedly. Whether it's truth or not, they at least believe it.
I don't mind a small path.
I've spent the better part of my life walking ropes in the wind.
To have made it this far has already gone against great probability. Perhaps it is possible, but the risk is great. If you fail, it will be worse. It will be much worse.
We won't fail.
I do appreciate your optimism. I might even be willing to help. Although I don't know that you would trust me to.
Trust
does
isn't
your
always necessary.
What does your help look like?
I can see a great many things. More so than even your Magister friend. That is my area of expertise. He can't see this place. This I know. You have tried to communicate to him. Since being here, he has not received that message.
Well, that's not good.
I could talk to him for you. I only really want one thing. I don't have to see the barrier down to get across it. But only he can let me through. At least without higher intervention.
And what would you do outside of the barrier?
Quite frankly, I don't know. I quite tire of these politics. This good versus evil struggle. I'd like to see it ended. One way or the other.
There's definitely one way we would prefer. So what do we need to do?
Well, for starters, you'll have to defeat my brethren. They won't stop. Not while they still live. Or at least, whatever they call living now.
Well, that's already on the to-do list. We've got a few of them crossed off.
So I have seen. I don't know why, but you've been toyed with to some degree. I have no idea why the necromancer wouldn't have dealt with you when he had the chance. That worries me, because I do not see that end. Something about him is beyond my perceptions.
Do you know what they're doing?
Oh, well. In the short term, yes. Since I really don't have the power to glean directly into him, I wonder if it isn't something else he has at mind.
What do you mean?
Well, I can more than just speak to the present and see in the present. Part of my specialty is looking into the past and looking into the future. But when I try to see his past or future, it isn't there. His present I can see just fine. Or at least So I think.
Is he blocking you from it somehow?
In life, he did not have such power. He was quite powerful, but that is outside of his area of expertise.
You think he's getting help?
Oh, I'm definitely sure of that. He's gonna kind of point, raise one hand, pointing over towards Lumo. His people have long held technology that keeps them from being seen. Some of us have the power to overcome that. But if that was somehow altered or enhanced, not even the gods above could see. That's dangerous.
You think that's why they've been taking your people, Lumo?
They might be taking some, but I definitely can picture some of them coming more willingly. Paylor is not a friend of our people. I can definitely see some of them taking more decisive actions to seek revenge against it.
You can just see the wizard nodding his head. Her head. Pronouns!
Pronoun trouble. Can you hear us now, Josh?
Did he break it?
He said he can't hear anyone in Discord.
Like, can't hear us at all, or just hearing robots?
Sounds like nothing at all.
Hmm.
It sounds like he's hearing nothing at all. Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
So hypothetically, once the other wizards are defeated, then what happens?
That is just one leg of the long journey you have before you. Preventing the wizards from bringing literal hell on earth would be but one barrier. One stone on the tipping scale.
So you're not one of the 9?
I am one of the 9. Elvira. Perhaps I could proffer at least names. Maybe tell you something about them. So you at least know what to look for.
That would be welcome.
Bijou pulls out a notebook to write things down.
Edelmar, you've met. The Necromancer. You've met 2 of the ghouls. They were people once, but they gave up their names when they gave up their humanity. There was the Emperor. And there's the bone powder ghoul. Gave you a bit of fright. Although he has lost much of his sentience.
Is
Yeah.
that the thing collecting shiny stuff?
Why, yes. Yes, it is. Draka. You had met him earlier. He's the master of conjuration. He's actually a surprising addition to the list, as he's quite weak. But he's crafty and smart, although wasn't enough to save him, or his water elementals. You had also met Fjarn, the abjurer. Well, he got away, didn't he?
Yeah, he kind of surprised us.
I'm reasonably certain you haven't seen the last of him. It won't be here. Perhaps out west? Perhaps, should you survive this place, you'll see him again. Most likely, while looking for some people. There's Korm, the battle maid. He's the evocation specialist. And adept at a sword at that. There's Mara. The trickster. The illusionist. I'm Elvira, the diviner. And the ninth? The ninth is a lich. Although Edelmar has drained him of most of his powers to fuel his attack on the Phalanx. And then you drained him of his life. That was the soul-starved lich that you fought in the big battle.
Oh yeah, about him. How much does Luma know about liches?
Probably not a whole lot. Honestly, I mean, other than it was some kind of undead wizard. It was about the best, you know, some kind of resurrected wizard of some sort.
Okay, that's potentially a two-part question. Just became a one-part.
So we've killed 3 of 9.
2 yes, maybe 3.
Well, the lich, I remember rolling, it can go back to its phylactery or whatever, and anywhere on this domain, so if we happen to trip over it.
Yeah, so the lich is unknown, but has been defeated once, at the least.
Right.
The Emperor Ghoul is dead. Draka is dead. The Bone Powder Ghoul you don't know about. It was in there, but Lodrin came out of there So you don't
True.
really know what all happened with that. And Edelmar, and then we know that Fionn teleported away, and we've not seen Corm or Mara at all.
Right.
Where will we find Corm and Mara?
At this very moment, or
In
in
the
your
future.
future.
In our future.
In your future. As far as I can see, Mara you'll find with Edelmar. He's a little sweet on her. Perhaps not in the too distant future at that. But Corm, to be honest, you should have encountered him already. How that came to be that you did not, I do not know.
Where were we supposed to have encountered him?
Twice now, he's eluded. He was supposed to be in the force that attacked the Phalanx garrison. But for some reason he was not. He twisted destiny, twisted fate in some way.
How is it they were able to come through the barrier, him and Edelmar?
That is another question I do not know the answer to. Or I would not be here.
That's fair.
I have tried asking directly, something I'm not akin to do. But it's nothing but closed mouths. But like Edelmar, Corm seems to be blank. Things that should happen just simply don't come to pass. And I can't see, not anymore.
Sorry, just writing stuff down.
Does that mean he's hidden from you, or hidden from all, or that he's passed?
It's tough to say. I would imagine he's still around. But I can't even see his present. Not like Edelmar.
I have perhaps an odd question, then. You know there are two others with us.
Yes.
If we need to go west, where will they be most safe?
Most safe. I can say with reasonable certainty that it isn't here, and it isn't with you. But even vision to other places and other times, there are many paths and many branches. One cannot see them all.
Does anybody else have any more questions, or are we ready to go walk our knife's edge?
Already the paths of fate change. This encounter has already changed the way the future is portrayed. I did not reasonably expect to survive this day. I was supposed to die. Doesn't seem that that's the case anymore. Maybe that path is a little less narrow.
Do we need to contact the Magister through you?
I am capable of that. What would he need to know? You know, I could let him see this place. Or remove those barriers.
That would be most efficient.
But to do so, I and this rod would have to leave.
Is it the rod that's preventing him from seeing?
In part. I won't deny a hand in it myself. But I don't have not even his power to prevent him. This rod helps. Everyone roll perception. We're all kind of intently staring at this guy.
Oof, that was bad.
You're just all up in the conversation. You're not even trying to figure out. Yeah. Focused. I'm trying to make up my mind if I want to stab this guy or not.
Right?
Like,
I mean, so I might get a new staff right now.
like, these are not the droids you are looking for. Like, this is.
So, throughout the conversation, so when we first entered the room, we were just floods of different varying emotions: calm, rage, love, hate, compassion, lack of emotion, like all of these things, you know, all were pulsing through this, through us all, as well as the change, the shuddering of scenery. One thing that you've noticed is several of you got over 20, so it's for anyone over 20 that as the conversation has gone, the room's appearance has changed. What was initially two large Asmodean demon statues have lost their wings and have lost their horns and look more like they kind of change. Not only they lost those, they kind of change shape ever so subtly to look more like full-plated, almost kind of like the full-plated phalanx members. The statues kind of look more like those, with large glaives. As well, when you walk in, other than like the intense, like overwhelming perceptory of just changing the scenery, it went from dark stone on the walls to now more of like the light sandstone color of the rest of the cavern. And for those that got over the 20, you also kind of notice that some of this, so like that's the total transition, but you notice that along the way, depending on how the conversation was going, on kind of that it kind of fluctuated up and down along that spectrum a little bit before it eventually made it to this spot, as though this room is tied to this realm and in some way with destiny.
That's cool.
Wow.
I didn't notice any of it. I'm just straight staring this person in the face.
Guess
Yup.
that makes Carl less conflicted about killing him, or not killing him, or whatever.
Well, if we can contact the Magister, then he can, as you say, let you cross the barrier. You can let him see this place. And then we won't need to do too much in order for him to see the maps and movements that we marked.
Mm-hmm.
Do you need us to vouch for you? Is that the idea?
I'll tell you what I'll do. Begins casting a spell.
Do I know what it is?
It is a high-level transmutation spell.
Okay.
Out of his robes, like you could see, like a hand actually come. Like the big flowing robes cover most of his arms and hands. It's only when he pulls them up and out in front of him that you can actually see his hands at all. She pulls out her hand out in front, out of hidden in probably one of many pockets inside of the arms of her robes. It's a small amulet, and then you can see the amulet begin to glow for a brief moment. This will let you talk to him.
And only him?
Yes.
Insight.
Okay. It's like truth, but dodgy truth. Like perhaps omission. This can be used a couple of times per day to open an intercommunication window of a minute or so between you and he. She just kind of tosses it over towards Izzy.
I catch it.
And you've been such good sports. You see her hand go back into her robe. And this time, her hand palm comes up, and it has a ring on it. And she begins casting another high-level transmutation spell. And this one, she tosses at Lumo. You and I hold a bond that not many of this realm share. Beliefs can be a powerful thing. With this, it grants a similar power, but to me.
What did I just catch?
A small ring of essentially like two-way message that can be used once per day.
Okay.
If anyone else tries to use the ring, he'll burn them from the inside out.
Izzy makes a mental note of that.
I would not recommend it.
Might hurt a bit.
I can see it now. He's going to use his water bottle to knock him over. When they get knocked over, he's going to run up to him and put the ring on their finger.
I have to use it.
Here, try this ring on. Got him.
That'd be very April Foolsy.
Yeah. So how'd you guys beat the hardest boss in the game? Oh, you gotta put this ring on.
Let's see if I can get Josh back over here real quick.
Josh getting a ring too.
He does need some two-way communication.
Should we try going in just the regular chat channel? Because maybe his internet can't handle all the video.
That could be it. Yeah,
Oh,
why
I
don't we
didn't
go
think
ahead
about
and
that.
why don't we go ahead and kill it and go back to there.
Okay, so it was the
The bandwidth.
Hello?
Can you hear
Doesn't
us?
make any sense. Yeah, everything's fine here. I don't know why the call doesn't work.
The bandwidth.
Or it was working, but it didn't quit working.
The video I find on Discord tends to start lagging everything after an hour and a half or so. I don't know if there's
I
some kind of...
apologize. You guys are having to scrub for me.
So it's fine.
It's okay.
Honestly, we usually end up switching partway through anyway. The same thing, everything starts to get really, like, jittery.
Mr. Roboto.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Did you catch most of it?
Oh no, that's fine. I mean, y'all just have to quickly replay the last 45 minutes. Be all right. No big deal.
Well, Tina Turner came through, and
Mm-hmm.
something about the Master Blaster.
Somehow we're in the Thunderdome now.
Okay, so we're not killing the.
Do we know who run Bartertown?
Well, apparently Lodrin, actually.
That's another movie I'm going to buy for Nerdcation.
It's a good one. Okay.
So, Cole's notes. This wizard is willing to help us maintain the balance as long as they can get back across the barrier, for which they need to contact the Magister, and gave us an amulet with which to do that, and gave a ring to Lumo that if anybody tries to use it except for Lumo, they're gonna turn to ashes.
That ring is for Lumo and the finger wagger. So every day Lumo's going to be like, hashtag walking in the desert.
Get one tweet a day. You get one tweet.
This amulet that I've caught, do I know how to use it immediately? Or do I feel like I need to spend some time with it?
It does not require attunement.
Okay.
And my game theory was Lodrin's about to get some loot. So that's why I needed you back.
So are they still doing stuff, or am I kind of getting the indication that I should try using this amulet?
Yeah, so after it tosses the ring to Lumo, she she's gonna then kind of start crossing her arms and then kind of posturing close to the altar itself with the rod that's still kind of floating there. I am glad that you see things my way. I didn't want to have to bring about the end of everything. I do like some things.
Chocolate cake's pretty good.
I was thinking milkshakes.
Yeah. I'm glad at least somebody was able to see reason here.
Now, if you could secure my passage, perhaps I will be out of your hair. And that you have some other questions for me, something of interest to you. You've been so kind and all, letting me live, that is.
Do you see the Star Fury?
The sisters,
Mm-hmm.
they live, yes.
Well, we knew they lived.
What is it you would like to know?
Izzy's just gonna kind of gesture to Car, like, now's your chance.
Yeah, Car's been kind of letting the fate and the gods kind of dictate that. And he also kind of knows that they're stronger than us. But Carr will ask, when does our path intersect with theirs?
You do have some pressing things to worry about. Politics in your country are in a bit of unrest. But he that you know endangers them has not found them yet. The danger you should look to first lies more with her. And points, one long-armed hand over towards Bijou.
What? Me?
Don't forget what you seek. Not all personal gain is merely personal. You left for selfish reasons, but have stayed for altruistic ones. Doesn't mean there isn't importance in what you seek.
My father's in trouble?
The vision you saw that the Magister gave to you was one very prominent path. One thread of fate that still holds true. At least as of yet. Although why he's there to begin with, this I don't know either.
Do we know where he's at the moment?
We have gained information on where he was a couple of weeks ago, but we don't know exactly. We knew that he was on the island west of the Badlands, on the ocean.
Do we need to seek him first? I thought he'd be okay.
That is one possible path.
Bijou, do not be concerned with these far-reaching portents. We will take our own actions to find him eventually. No one knows what true fate lies ahead.
We need to head that direction anyway if most people are out to the west.
Yes.
These paths may converge.
Well, those are some wise words. You've been to another place and back. Insight you've always had, but now a more true sense of things.
You don't owe me any answers, sorcerer. It is not a kindness that I spare you. That we spare you. We do not kill for the sake of killing. You just do your part and make sure not to use that fancy stick of yours to tip the scales, as you say. And we will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a completely meta side note. If that staff looks like the staff of thunder and lightning, I'm going to kill him.
Well, Izzy, did you call the Magister and I guess we need to get on our way. We're wasting time.
If no one has any more questions, I'll look down at the amulet and see if I can figure out how to make it work.
It's
Potion?
strangely
Potion.
intuitive. Is this not a mechanism or anything that would be something that you would expect, but just holding it in your hands itself gleans that it has some, like just having
Quaff amulet.
Yeah, quaff the amulet. Just holding it in your hand, like almost mentally feel like you just know how to use it. Like it's very strange. You can just kind of, hit the speed dial button and call him up.
Okay, I will try to open that channel.
Okay. And you would send, essentially you would send kind of like a starter message, which would be the ringing, if you will, on the phone call. So what would you send to him?
Do I have a word count, or what is the...
No, it was for
Sending
a
him a
minute.
tweet?
Yeah, you could double communicate for a minute. So.
Okay. I'll say, this is Izzy. We have met someone who can help, but they need aid to cross the barrier. It is a diviner that you may know.
And just a couple of seconds pause. A diviner. Elvira. You hear the Magister's voice directly in your head.
So Izzy's the only one in this conversation, I guess.
Is this all in my head?
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to say that yes, we trust them to help us prevent the balance from being tipped, but we don't know who else is listening.
That's to be expected. Elvira's power, especially if you're in proximity. She probably knows our conversation.
I wink at her.
You trust her.
I think our goals align, at least for the moment.
Of all the council, Elvira's the one who has suspicions of not being nearly as inundated as the others. If you truly believe, and if you think that it would be prudent to do so.
I do.
What does she wish?
Passage through the barrier, and to maintain the balance. Through Ao. She has some sort of staff that she wields.
Staff. Through Ao.
She has been most helpful.
This is not a thing I do lightly. but I shall acquiesce. And then the communication cuts off.
I look up at her and say, "It's done." I'll hold out the amulet in case she wants it back.
She just kind of pulls up one hand, you know, with like the stop kind of motion.
Mhm.
No, that's quite all right. Perhaps that will serve you in some other way in the future.
Thank you.
She reaches over to the staff that's still floating and pulsing, grabs onto it, and when she does, you can see that like this glow immediately begins to kind of start to surround her, and the rod itself, she pulls it off from its hovering position. Very well. First, I will restore the balance to this room, and I'll see me from it. Thank you. It taps the staff on the rug in front of her, and for a brief flash, you get those scenery pictures of different, you know, like the swamp and the plains and the beach and the mountains and the jungle and all these different things, and each one, as it flashes, you see like clones, simulacrums, you might say, of faster way to do this.
Did we just talk our way out of a boss battle?
Each flash, each different realm, different scenery, different realm of existence that all overlaps in this one place. Each flash shows a different scenery, and when each one comes up, a different image of a different kind of copy of Elvira is in each one of these different realms. As each one, instead of it just being an immediate flash that just kind of rifles through like the quick shuddering of the previous, the image comes up, and then you can see that shadowy clone in that realm slowly dissipate and fade away as then that actual scenery kind of goes away, and so does the emotion that goes with it, as it all kind of seems to be traveling to the staff itself, absorbing each of these scenes and emotions and everything with it as each one in turn disappears. And then after the last one disappeared, she kind of, with a wave of her hand, begins casting a spell. And if she does, she just disappears.
Ah!
Do we
Bye,
still have the
Elvira!
Do we still have the phalanx statues?
Yes. The phalanx statues are still in the room.
I just sort of tap Izzy with my elbow and point towards them because I did not notice her notice them.
She does a double take.
So as soon as she disappears, each of these two statues slowly begin to move. Large, giant glaives that have been transformed. And they each turn towards the altar, and each one makes one giant glaive strike at the altar, breaking it into 3 pieces. And then the life that's kind of holding them upright seems to fade as they droop and freeze in place.
People may not have seen it, but Izzy had immediately drawn her weapons and was like, defensive stance, like, And when they stopped moving, she kind of lets them drop a little bit, like, what just happened?
I worry about Steen with the phalanx going to automation and using robots now. If he'll be out of a job.
Right? Steen's all confused. Like, he walked in this room expecting to go murder Hobo and then ended up listening to a conversation that he's like, why is she not dead yet?
She's helping us.
He's getting that, but he's kill all the minions to this room with the boss in it, and he's like, why is she not dead yet? Why is she helping us? He's trying to comprehend these things, all right? Steen is not a paladin.
Oh, yeah, right.
If he was a paladin, she would have been instantly attacked.
I'm gonna just kind of glance back at Lumo and see how he's doing.
He's going to be looking pretty stoic.
Da-da-da.
Classic Lumo.
I'm trying to read him.
Right? Trying to read Limbo?
Uh,
No, she's looking at the statues.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
okay.
So you're investigating the statues. Is that what? You're doing? Yeah. So you kind of look over these statues as they transformed from giant demon statues into these gear-forged Templars. They are highly mechanical beings that looks like the inner workings are actually mechanisms. So they're not like golems. They're not like iron golems or anything like that. They actually are more like a warforged, gearforged, like they're like an actual android kind of concept with big gears and artificing. But they still seem to be powered through magic, and it looks as though either the magic is dormant or they are dormant and turned off, or that magic is gone.
I also want to look at the middle altar where she was looking at before, or he.
So the altar itself also changed slightly across as the room did. It was dark and there was demonic symbology on it, and now as the rest of the room itself has transformed, so has the altar to some degree. There is actual like scales symbology right on the front of it, as well as one side a sunburst, and on the other a demon image with the scales in the middle.
So we have the bone door that we haven't gone through, and there's the shiny guy. Oh, we going to tend to that or go on and head west?
I think that needs to be our next step. That was one of the former wizards that Elvira told us about. So I think we need to take care of that situation. She kind of looks up and down at Lodrin, is like, you came out of there.
Story time.
Much of my memory is fragmented, but yes, I, or what you would call me, came from there.
I have two questions. Do you remember what was in there?
Multitudes and vast volumes of death and life.
How much do you remember? And is he kind of like glances over at Bijou, like, we were in there before.
Much of my cognitive abilities were not, the word escapes me, developed. But I felt the need to help.
Izzy's gonna kind of gently walk up to him and kind of pat him on the arm and be like, it maybe is better you don't remember. Which leads me to my second question, really. When you came out of there, you were not, and she kind of holds a hand up gesturing like this. You were not in this form. And it's a very narrow squeeze. Is this is a very strange question. I'm sorry if I'm getting too personal, but is this solid?
When it needs to be. You must understand that life will always find a way.
Okay, so maybe you can come back in with us.
Was there a higher presence with you when you came back through?
Oh, yes, yes. Part of what I am now was part of what it was, and as past that, I can't say. Surely you, being a religious man, must know that we are not what we are here physically. I mean, we are much more than that.
I had fallen too. And I was given assistance to come back.
Ah, yes, assistance. And for that, you have my thanks. I know without you or Bijou, I would not be here, and yet there was something else to aid, some higher power that's still unknown to me.
Izzy just kind of wide-eyed looking at Lodrin. She says, that acorn took down the entire vampire den.
Life, it would seem, found its way.
It always does.
Well, let's see if we can find our way into kill what did she call it? A bone dust demon? or
Bone
something?
powder ghoul?
Yes.
Yeah, bone powder ghoul. Didn't give a proper name on that one, I don't think.
No. Let's
No.
go get it, guys. Let's move on.
Maybe we'll call him Brian.
Okay, cue up the Lord of the Rings walking music, and boom.
You can diddly do all the way over there if you like. So the one thing she did say about those that she didn't give a name was, they obviously were someone before, and they had a name before, but she said they gave those up when they gave up their humanity.
And she said this one was almost more feral than anything, right? Like it didn't.
Yes.
It wasn't really sentient.
That's right. It had lost most of its sentience. It still had access to its powers, but it had gone a lot more feral. Mm-hmm.
So before we go in, Izzy's gonna kind of do a quick brief on what happened last time.
Everyone can squeeze in.
Yeah, that the two more armored folks can't get in with their armor on, and that there was the two large mushrooms, I think it was, and the green kind of moss that released the spores that paralyzed her last time, where she fell flat on her face and she kind of rubbed her nose.
So when you're looking back, now that you're all kind of gathered back where the crack was, when Lodrin came through as his bioluminescent acid-spewing mass, he did squeeze through because he was just amorphous at that stage as well. But now when you're looking at it, like back down through the path, what was like, instead of just being like, it was like a really jagged actual crack all the way up through the rock or whatever, as opposed to like something that was dug out. And so you had to kind of contort yourself so that you could fit through.
Mm-hmm.
Now it looks like, when he came through with the biomass and the acid and the sludge and everything, that it kind of wore most of the sides of that crack stable and flush instead of being jagged where you had to contort yourself. So you feel like that you and Lumo, Bijou, could now fit easily without a squeeze. And perhaps the others could make it through with the squeeze. Lodrin's going to have to hunker down he'd be the one that would fit by far the least. But even Carr in his armor could probably squeeze through sideways now.
P.S. I think Darren and Parth are probably holding up still in that office.
Mm-hmm.
I think that makes sense for them to stay there. Okay. Well, I have a jar of. Well, I have a few vials of oil because I think I put the rest of it in my empty vials last time. If we
In
need,
your flat, like in your empty like potion bottles or whatever.
yeah, because I always keep my empty bottles. So if there was extra oil from when I was greasing the hinges, I would have put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
So, Izzy, any ideas for this time?
Well, it looks like we can probably fit through a lot more easily. I think numbers will be mostly what we need. There were the spiders that came out as well from the walls. But as for fitting through, I do have this oil that if you guys need to help you squeeze, I mean, I can make more.
I wouldn't want to apply that for the sake of my friends.
Lodrin, you came out of there. You didn't look like humanoid last time. Do you think you can get through again okay?
Only one way to find out.
Alright, I'll offer a couple of vials of oil to Carr and to Steen. And then otherwise I'm ready to go in, I think.
I'll take some oil.
I
Smear myself.
I get lubed up. If I was on Jakar, he would have so much fun just launching himself at the ground and sliding everywhere.
Slip and slide.
Car's a little more stoic.
Alright, I'll also take my rope and just hold on to one end and leave the other end on the outside so that the rope is going from one end of the crack to the other in case anybody needs help to pull through. You guys can probably go past me if you wanted to. You're little.
So one thing.
Oh no, I'm following you.
When you came through, as you actually start going through the crack, you notice it was widened and smooth, like etched, like acid etched, quite a bit from that. As you actually make it into this open room, kind of like where Lumo is. Lumo, you can see that where that biomass was before, and those two giant mushrooms were, that the biomass is gone. So entirely just gone. So whatever was there looks like that is now part of actual Lodrin. Lodrin is now part of whatever that was.
I inhaled Lodrin.
The in the middle where it was, you can see like this giant circle of char. Like it just looks like the ground, the rock here was charred big time, right where that biomass was, and right out from it, you can see where the two giant stalking mushrooms were. Like the top portions of both of them are just gone, and then there's just like little charred stubs across the bottom where they were standing before. Back along the walls, there's just, it looks like a giant splatter. Some almost like an explosion went off, where there's bits of char along all these little holes in intermittently. Like, so on the floor, it's like this just giant solid black spot. On the walls, it's like little bitty rays hit all over the place, charring huge sections in pieces, like a whole bunch of big circle splashes all over all the walls. Back in the corner, you can see the pile of coins and spoons and glass and all the other things that were shiny and that the creature held of value. Half of that pile looks like a big melted pool of different metals melted together. The other half seems about okay. Cowering in the back corner, you can see part of that blob of that amorphous being, where part of it has like a chunk taken out of it that it can't amorphously reform as it's kind of charred, and the rest of it's there hunkering as you come around the corner. And that's where we'll take our break, and we'll come back and see what we're going to do with it.
Woo!
Woohoo! Mass thing. Yeah.
I can't help
Damn,
but
Logan.
seeing somebody with two purple eyes and like he's bald and he's got this little patch of yellow hair and he's screaming.
What time do you want us back?
Let's do 15 till.
Okay.
Sweet.